Hello students, now today we are going to start a topic that is a characteristics for the common emitter configuration in a transistor. Okay, so here in this configuration, here's the diagram which is indicated the static characteristics of transistor in a common emitter configuration. Here, this is the transistor. In this transistor, the collector, base and the emitter. The collector is being get connected to the milliammeter, okay, and the next terminal of the milliammeter is being get connected to one rheostat with a battery voltage that is a plus VCC, okay, positive and negative. Here we are getting connected with a plus VCC, and in between this collector and the emitter the voltage has been get attached. We are just marking it as a VCE, okay. The voltmeter is been get attached like this. Now coming back to the input part, the base of the transistor is being get connected to the microammeter. As it is a small, it measures a small negligible current. That's why this microammeter is being get connected to the base of the transistor, and from this base of the transistor after the microammeter, the one voltmeter, the voltage value has to be get calculated, and since the voltmeter that calculates the value, that is a VBE, okay, this is being get connected to the rheostat through the voltage supply, that is VBB, okay. So here we have VBB, here we have a VCC. If we consider the half portion of this transistor, here you will obtain the input and here you will obtain the output. Okay, whatever the input is going to be get obtained by this one, some constant has to be get put here. Whatever the output characteristics we will be getting, some input value we have to make as a constant. In general, if the input characteristics is being get considered, you will get the same as that of the PN junction diode, which is in a forward bias. Whatever the value which is being getting here, by keeping this VCE is equal to VCE is equal to VCE is equal to either the 0 volt you are getting this one value, either the 2 volt you are getting the value. By keeping this one constant VCE, by keeping constant, if it is an input, by keeping constant VCE, we are getting the value across this VBE and IB. Okay, this characteristics is same as that of the forward characteristics which we have learned in the first number topic, that is a semiconductor. Okay students, this will study in detail. In the output characteristics, this output characteristics is being get considered, and here the voltage and the current we will mark here. But by keeping which value? By keeping the input current value, we will obtain the wave. Suppose in the x-axis we have marked the value VCE, it measures the voltage, and IC in the y-axis, and by keeping this IB is equal to first time 0, we will get some output. So by keeping this IB is equal to 0, we will get this one. By keeping IB is equal to 10 microampere, this value. By keeping 30 or 60, we will get this value. So whatever the value below, starting from this 0, here this considered as a cutoff, and wherever the output we are getting constant, that is active region, and just below or after this one, this region, it is considered as a saturation. Okay, these things in a practical we will show how the value is being get converted. Okay, it is all about the theoretical part. Now coming back to our main topic, in this common emitter configuration, the input signal is applied between the base and the emitter. Output is obtained between the collector and the emitter. The emitter base junction is forward bias and the collector base junction is reverse bias. As per I told you just now how the value is being get considered. In a common base emitter configuration, the input signal is applied in between the base and the emitter. In between this base and the emitter, we are going to apply the input signal, and we will obtain the output from this collector, and the emitter terminal. Okay, one terminal is being be get grounded, collector and the emitter. The emitter base junction is forward biased. This emitter and the base junction, wherever you will be observing in a diagram, the emitter base junction is in a forward bias, and the collector to the base junction, it is in a reverse bias. It is the one most important fact in that circuit diagram. The next part, we are going to consider the input characteristics. This input characteristics is nothing. It is plotted in between the VBE versus IB. As just now I drawn you VBE versus IB by keeping the VC is equal to constant. Okay. As soon as we increase the value for the VC, we will get the ultimate changes in the VBE and the IB. Okay. The IB is also 0. The IB is also 0. When VC is equal to 0, the VBE is also increases, and the cut-in voltage, that is, if you are going to consider the germanium or if you are going to consider the silicon. If the transistor is of a germanium, then the forward value and the reverse value you are getting 0.2 to 0.3. And in the silicon, the forward value which you are getting, that is 0.6 to 0.7. Okay, that is the cut in voltage. Wherever previously I just explained you about the forward characteristics of a diode. In that diode also, if the germanium was present, it was having the value 0.3 or 0.2 in a forward bias, and if we are going to consider the silicon, then it is having a 0.6 or a 0.7 volt. Okay, so this much is the part which is very much important. The base current status is increases. Okay, the emitter base junction behaves as a forward bias diode. Then the characteristics are plotted in between the IB versus VB. Okay, so this is the characteristics which you will be getting. This is the characteristic. This characteristics is being plotted between the IB and the VBE, keeping this VC is equal to constant. As soon as the VC is equal to constant, you will mark here as a like this. Here you will be getting the chart. VCE is equal to 0, then VCE is equal to 2, then again VCE is equal to 4. By keeping this constant, we will mark first here the value, that is VBE and IB. IB is always measured in the microampere, and VB again it is measured in the voltage. The same thing, the first value, second value and third value, it is being get marked by increasing and by decreasing this part. Okay, so VC is equal to 0, we will get this one value. VC is equal to 2, we will get this characteristics. VC is equal to 6, we will get this characteristics. And from this characteristics, just mark one point anywhere in any one graph. So if we consider this center, VC is equal to 2, we consider this one, we have just marked this point and this point, and just the parallel line is being get drawn to this y-axis, to this x-axis, and next point again to the x-axis. So you will be getting the del of IB, and the same thing is to be get marked with this y-axis also. So the y-axis, the parallel two lines has been get drawn. Here you will be getting the del of IB. Okay, so the input resistance, if you are going to calculate from this particular wave, you will be forming, you will be getting Ri. Ri is equal to, what will be the Ri? Here, V is equal to I into R, means R is equal to V upon I. What is the voltage? Del of VBE divided by this IB. IB, del of IB. So this is the input resistance. By using this wave, we are able to calculate the input resistance. Okay. This is same as that of the forward characteristics in a PN junction diode. Then in the output characteristics, this is plot in between the collector current versus VC for the various values of the input current, that is IB. The output characteristics can be divided into the three regions, that is the saturation region, active region and the cutoff region. These three regions are very much important. How we are obtaining these three regions? We have to plot a original graph. From the graph, it is being observed by you the cutoff region, the active region and the saturation region. Okay. The first, saturation region. This region lies to the left of the saturated line OA. In this region, both the junctions are forward biased. Here I am marking this one. This line, it is very much important. When it is in a saturation, both the junctions are forward biased, then it is in a saturation. Okay. In this region, the collector current is independent of the base current. Now we will observe the wave which is being get plot with VCE versus IC, keeping the base current as a constant. This base current, first time we have to mark IB is equal to 0, then second time IB is equal to 10, IB is equal to 20 microampere, IB is equal to 30 microampere, IB is equal to 40 microampere, IB is equal to 50 and so on. Whatever we are going to mark out, we will plot the graph likewise. Okay, so when it is in a saturation, means both the junctions are in a forward bias. Okay, the collector current is independent of the base current at this particular position. Now, this is the active region, wherever the acting part, wherever the output we are going to consider. This is considered as an active region. In this active region, you just see here, the region lies above the characteristics of IB is equal to 0 to the right side of the saturation line OA. In this region, the emitter base junction is forward bias and the collector base junction is reverse bias. Here, whatever I am marking, it is important. Saturation, both the junctions are forward bias, but in the active region, emitter base junction is forward bias and the collector base junction is reverse bias. This is the central region where the curves are uniform in a space and the slope. Whatever the spacing and whatever the slope, this is the slope which is being get occurred. So this slope is very much important. If you are not getting this slope, means something is going to be wrong. Okay, so that slope is to be get considered very much clearly. In this active region, the IC, in this active region, the IC is a beta DC time greater than IB. Okay, the current amplification factor, that is this one, is a beta DC time greater than IB. Therefore, a small input current IB produces a large output current IC. For the use of an amplifier, the transistor must be operated in the active region. Okay, for use of an amplifier, always the transistor should be operated in the active region. Then the third number region, that is a cutoff region. This cutoff region lies below the curve. Okay, here whatever the curve which is indicated, it is the cutoff region. Okay, lies below the curve. For IB is equal to 0. For the first wave, IB is equal to 0. We have drawn, and this will give you the cutoff region. In this region, both the junctions are reverse bias. So the thing which you have to keep in your mind is that saturation, both the junctions are forward bias. In a cutoff, it is a reverse bias, and only in the active region, one junction is forward bias and another junction is reverse bias. Okay, that is a emitter to base and collector to base or collector to emitter. Okay, this is called as a reverse leakage current. This, whatever the value, IB is equal to 0, IB is not 0, it has a value given by ICEO. It is called as a reverse leakage current. Okay students, for the output characteristics, the output resistance we have to calculate. For calculating the output resistance, again the same technique you have to do. In any one, just mark a 2 point and then you will be getting the value. Rho is equal to del of VCE divided by del of IC at a constant IB. Okay, so this gives you the characteristics. Then the basic common emitter amplifier. Here the circuit diagram, it has been drawn like this. The collector, base and the emitter terminal. In this collector terminal, the C2, that is a capacitor. In this collector to emitter, we have connected the RC resistance, we have connected the voltage source, that is a VCC, and the voltage which is being get measured from the collector to emitter, it is indicated with a VCE. From the base to emitter, the voltage has to be get considered, that is VBA, and from the base to emitter, the resistance which is being get connected, that is RB, with a voltage source, that is a VBB, and here the coupling capacitor, that is a C and C1 capacitor, has been get connected to the input with a VI voltage. Okay, it is the basic common emitter circuit which is performed in a transistor. Okay, it is very much simple, students. This give you, using the particular NPN transistor, we are designing the circuit. Okay, this is the NPN transistor, and due to this one we have designed a circuit in such a way that it will produce the amplified output. The emitter base junction, here the common emitter amplifier using the NPN transistor, the emitter base junction is followed by using the battery VBB. Okay, just I told you, of 1.5 volt. The collector base junction is reverse biased by using the battery VCC of 6 to 9 volt. In a practice, instead of two such batteries, only one battery, that is VCC, is used for biasing the network. It is used to provide the proper biasing for the base. Only just by using the one battery it is possible. For proper biasing to the base, we have to use the proper voltmeter or a voltage source we have to apply. When we are going to apply the input voltage, that is a VI, the input voltage which is being get applied to that particular input signal, which is to be amplified. Now what is that signal? This, suppose this is the signal which is provided. It is the signal. Now this signal should be get amplified so that a large number of the output will be get produced. Amplification is nothing but when a low input is converted to the high input, or a low voice is being get converted to the high output voice, then that gives you the amplified form. Okay, so whatever the input value we are going to apply, that should be get amplified to that particular. The RB is the base resistance and RC is the load resistance. RB and the RC, one of the base resistance and second is the load resistance. The capacitor C1 and C2, means CC1 and CC2, it allows the AC to pass through them. Both the capacitor, the function of that particular capacitor in this circuit, passes the AC, CC1 and CC2, since, and they block the DC. Only the AC signal is going to be get passed by the particular CC1 and CC2, and by blocking the DC. Okay, since the AC voltage is obtained at the output, whatever the input value we are getting, the input value we are providing, this input value, when the AC has been passed and the DC has been blocked, you will get the output in this amplified form like this. Since that circuit will be considered the common emitter amplifier. Okay. Now, for that circuit, if you have this one, the VCC is equal to IC into RC plus VCE. For this IC into RC, this IC into RC will be get considered, and this VCC, you have the value. This IC we have to calculate. Okay, so just we have taken the IC outside. After this one, you have got 1 divided by RC minus 1 by RC into VCE plus VCC by RC. Just by one simple calculation, we have got the formula like this: IC is equal to minus, in bracket, 1 upon RC into VCE plus VCC by RC. This equation is formed by obtaining a one straight line, as you have studied a one straight line with a y is equal to mx plus c. Y is equal to mx plus c, which is the equation for the straight line. Okay, now whatever the slope we are going to consider, that slope is nothing but it is an m. That m in this circuit, it is considered as a this minus 1 upon RC, and whatever the y-axis we are going to consider, it is forming the c value, which is indicated with the VCC by RC. this VCC by RC. The straight line represented in the above circuit, it is nothing but it is called as a DC load line, and that DC load line, it is being get drawn like this. It is always drawn with output characteristics of transistor. So just you observe here, as I told you, it is a cutoff region, it is a saturation region, and this region is being get considered as an active region. Cutoff region and saturation region. In this saturation, both junctions are forward bias. In this cutoff, both junctions are reverse bias. In this active region, one junction is forward bias and another junction is reverse bias. So just you mark a point here and you give the name A, and just you mark the point B in the y-axis for calculation of the IC and give the name as a B. So here from 0 to A, whatever the value, in this the middle line has to be get whatever the characteristics of this particular IB is equal to 0, IB is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, what are the value? If one value crosses to this one, and that value is nothing but it is considered as a Q point. This Q is nothing but it is called as a quiescent point of that particular DC load line. This line, whatever you have got, it is called as a DC load line. Okay. In this x-axis, you have the VCE value. So this VCC, 0 value you will get obtained in the x-axis, and in the y-axis you are getting the value 0, VCC by RC. So this much value will be get obtained by you when a DC load line is to be get occur. Okay. Now in this, you have to select the line. You have to fix the point, and that fixing of the point is nothing but it is indicated with a Q, as previously I told. Previously I told you, whatever the point is to be get considered, that is a Q. That is a Q. This is nothing but it is a quiescent point. Also, this quiescent point is nothing but it is called as a operating point of the transistor. This point generally select the center of a load line. Always the point is to be get considered in the center of that particular waves, so that it should be get properly balanced. Okay. Next, if this one occur, means generally the transistor is nothing but it is used as a switch also. So transistor as a switch, the transistor can be used as a switch if we operate either in the saturation or in a cutoff. Means, as I told you, when it is in a saturation, it is both the junctions are forward bias, and when it is in a cutoff, it is in a reverse bias, both the junctions. Means when one is on, another will be get off, and if another will be get off, first will be get on, and that's why this on and off technique is being considered in the transistor as a switch, as a simple switch. When we just make on, one circuit will be get cut, and if we get off, one circuit will be get open. In the same way, here also the same thing is being get here. However, the load line, when transistor is in a cutoff, it is like to open switch, and the base current is 0, and the transistor operates at a low end of the load line. Means it is a cutoff. Cutoff is nothing but it is in a reverse. Both the junctions are in a reverse, and that time it is considered as an open switch. Okay. When the transistor is saturated, it is a close, means it is a on. The switches from the collector to emitter, you will get the value, that is the IB value, and that IB value is to be get considered in this circuit as a VBB minus VBE divided by RB. VBB minus VBE divided by RB. Now consider the figure. This figure you have to consider. Okay. One transistor, the NPN transistor has been given to you. In this collector, the RC resistance, means a collector resistance. In the base, that is a base resistance. Here we are giving the input, that is a VBB, and from the collector we are giving the voltage, that is a plus VCC, and here we will obtain the value. Now just below the axis and above, just above the IB value, whatever we are getting, this region is the cutoff region, and the line which is being after the last active region, it is considered as a saturation. So here mark the 2 point in such a way, in a cutoff it is a open switch and in the saturation it is the closed switch. At that particular instant, at this particular closed switch, you are getting the VCC by RC, and for the open switch you are getting the value as a total VCC. Okay, approximately to that of the saturated value to that of the collector current. This guarantees that is saturated under all operating condition. Means saturation is very much compulsory in a transistor for operating the value in the on and the off condition. Okay, and that's why this transistor is used as a switch. Okay, the next part, it is a unipolar transistor. This unipolar transistor is nothing but operation for the bipolar BJT. Depends on the two types of the charges, holes and electrons. The operation for the unipolar transistor depends only on the one type of the charges, either holes or the electrons. Okay, BJT is nothing but it is a bipolar junction transistor. It depends on the two types, that is a hole and the electrons. The operation for the unipolar transistor depends upon only one type of the charges, either hole or electrons. BJT depends on both one, but unipolar it depends either on the holes or either on the electrons. The field effect transistor is an example of a unipolar transistor. Okay, FET. You will say that thing, it is a FET. FET, field effect transistor. Okay, now we are going to compare the field effect transistor and the BJT, bipolar junction transistor. The BJT, first one, the operation depends on the two types of the charges, holes and electrons. Field effect transistor, previously I told you, the operation depends on the majority charge carrier only, that is either the hole or either the electrons. The input impedance is low in a BJT, but the input impedance is high in the FET, field effect transistor. There are the current control device, that is a BJT, and these are the voltage control device, FET. Okay, FET is a voltage control and BJT it is a current control device. BJT is the bipolar and the FET it is a unipolar. In a BJT the power gain is low, in a FET the power gain is high. So it is the comparison in between the BJT and the FET. Now the types of the field effect transistor, here we are going to observe the JFET, first number, second number, it is being classified into the two types. First is the JFET and second is the MOSFET. This JFET is being classified again into the two types, that is the N channel JFET and the P channel JFET. Okay, here we will draw like this. FET has been classified into two types. Okay, here we will see like this. The field effect transistor in front of you, the JFET first part and second it is a MOSFET. Okay, first is the JFET and second is the MOSFET. JFET, junction field effect transistor. MOSFET, MOSFET, metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. This JFET is again classified into two types, that is a N channel JFET and the second, that is a P channel JFET. Okay students, metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor is again classified into the two different parts. The first part, it is nothing but it is called as a enhancement metal oxide semiconductor enhancement, and second is the deflection metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. This enhancement is again classified into the two types, that is the N channel and the P channel. N channel and the P channel. Deflection MOSFET is again classified into two types, that is a N channel and the P channel. Okay, so this much is the classification, means types of field effect transistor. Okay, the junction field effect transistor JFET, the symbol representation. Now here one thing you have to keep in your mind, only the arrow, whatever the arrow in a transistor, this arrow we have considered it is a NPN only due to the arrow outside to the pointing towards the ground, and in the PNP, the arrow it is pointing towards the base, collector, base and emitter. Okay, it was the PNP. Now in the junction field effect transistor, only the thing which is being get changed in this. Here it looks like the K in a transistor, but here the drain is considered in the transistor, it is collector, the source it is emitter, the base it is gate. But this arrow, this arrow indicates that it is a N channel. It is considered towards pointing towards the source. Here also it is pointing towards the gate, means it is a P channel. Okay, this one thing you have to keep in your mind. Okay, so it gives you the symbolical representation for the N channel JFET and it gives you the P channel JFET, the source, the source, drain and the gate, source, drain and the gate. G is the gate, D is the drain and S is the source. Okay, the arrow pointing towards this particular source, it is considered as an N channel and the arrow pointing towards the gate considered as a P channel. Okay, so it is a symbolical representation. The N channel gate provides the 2 points of the channel. Okay, here consider this one, the source, drain and the gate. In between there is a PNP, PNP, here NPN. Okay, the both thing, the deflection region and the channel has a part which shows you the pointing towards the value with a biasing and the pinch of voltage. Gives you the positive VDD and supply is connected between the drain and the source. Electron goes from the source to drain. Electrons goes from source to drain. The drain current depends upon the width of that particular channel. Whatever the width has been get occurred. This one is the width. This one is the width which has been get occurred. Okay. So here this value, the deflection region, the pinch off value for the large to the reverse bias, and for here the biasing has been get occurred. Okay. Then the characteristics which is being get obtained by this particular JFET, it is a drain characteristics and a drain characteristics which is indicated like this. Okay, here in the x-axis we are measuring the VDS, the drain to source voltage, and here we are going to measure the current, that is a drain to source. Okay, here it is indicated with the IDSS, that is ID, it is a drain current, and by keeping the gate to source voltage constant, here we will obtain the output value. This output value in the form of the characteristics we have to plot. Okay, the static drain, it is similar to that of the static collector characteristics as that of the BJT. Functions, we have formed the characteristics, it was same as that of the collector characteristics in the BJT, but only the difference is that here the value you are going to mark like this, it is indicated. It was the same value from here to here. Okay, from here to here it was the same value, only this thing is new to you. Okay, so these lines, what are the lines, what are the characteristics is being drawn, it is only new to you, but rest of all it is same. Okay, then the parameters, the parameter which is being get affected by this one, it is first the dynamic drain resistance, it is considered as a RD. It is the ratio of the small changes in the drain voltage to the small changes in the drain current, keeping the gate voltage constant. Typically the RD value in this JFET, it is 400 kilo ohms. Okay, it is important. You have the formula, you will get the formula from this definition. RD is equal to del of VDS divided by del of ID. VGS is equal to constant. Second, the mutual conductance or a transconductance you are getting, that is a GM. It is the ratio of the small changes in the drain current to the small changes in the gate voltage, keeping the drain voltage constant. Unit for the GM means a transconductance, or you may say that it is a mutual conductance. It is a Siemens. S, it is indicated with a S. Typically the GM ranges from 150 microsecond to 250 microsecond. Okay, students. That's the amplification factor. It is considered as a mu. It is the ratio of the small changes in the drain voltage to the small changes in the gate voltage when current ID is constant. Mu is equal to del of VDS divided by del of VGS. Since ID is equal to constant, mu can be up to 100. Mu is equal to that the drain resistance and the conductance. Okay, mutual conductance or transconductance. It is the multiplication for this, you are getting the amplification factor. Then the metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. Here also only the one element is going to be get added, that is an insulated gate. IGFET, insulated gate field effect transistor. Okay, so metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. It is also called as a insulated gate field effect transistor, consisting of a four terminal. The first terminal is the source, second is the gate, third is the drain, and the one terminal is being get added, that name is the substrate. In a JFET, that is a junction field effect transistor, only source, drain and the gate was considered, but in the metal oxide the extra one terminal called as a substrate, which is inserted in this metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. Okay, so here you have the symbolical representation, the N channel and the N channel with the substrate and the P channel. Again here the one thing you have to keep in your mind very clearly, that the arrow, from the arrow you are going to indicate which is the N channel MOSFET and which is the P channel MOSFET. Now here in the P channel the arrow is outside, and in the N channel the arrow is inside. Okay, here also you will be observing like this, and this wherever the arrow has been get considered, that terminal is considered as a substrate. Okay, here also the substrate terminal is been get connected with the source. So here this drain, gate, substrate and the source is been used. It gives you the N channel and the substrate internally connected to the source. Always that substrate, it is being get connected internally to the source, which is being shown like this. Okay, students. So the substrate and the source, always it is being get connected, and that's why the diagram is this one. The arrow is inside, means it is a N channel. Okay, if the arrow is outside, then it is considered as a P channel. But in which terminal arrow you have to draw? You have to draw the arrow only in the substrate terminal. Okay, students. In a JFET we have drawn the arrow to the gate terminal, we have drawn the arrow, either the in or either the out. From that in and out we are going to consider which is the N channel and which is the P channel. In a transistor we have drawn the arrow outside, it was considered as a N, okay, NPN. But if the arrow is pointing towards the base, means inside arrow, then it was considered as a PNP. Here if it is outside going, then it is considered as a P channel. If it is inside going to the substrate, then it is considered as a N channel. So this is the difference, three difference you have specially keep in your mind. Okay, whatever it is written here, the same thing I have discussed. In an N channel MOSFET, conducting to the N material with a P layer on the right side and insulated gate on the left is represented. The free electrons can flow from the source of the drain through the N material. The P region is called as a substrate. Okay, the P region in that portion, it is called as a substrate, and the thin layer of a silicon dioxide, that is SiO2, is deposited on the left side of the channel. SiO2 is deposited on the left side of the channel. As the gate is insulated from the channel, negligible, the gate current flows even when the gate voltage is positive. Okay, as soon as the voltage is positive, also the gate current is going to be get flown from that particular thing also. Okay, when we are going to consider the N channel deflection type, the VDD is connected to the drain. When the N channel deflection is being get considered, the VDD, the drain to drain voltage, is being get connected to the drain. The deflection type of the MOSFET can be operated in the deflection mode when this N deflection type is being occurred. If VGG is negative, at that portion the VGG will be negative. It may operate in an enhancement mode. It may operate in the enhancement mode. If the VGG is positive, and the voltage can apply to the substrate by adding the control of ID. Usually the substrate is internally connected to the source. Okay, it is not connected outside, but it is internally connected. It gives you the construction for the metal oxide semiconductor. Okay, so the first one part deflection, that is a N channel. Here the gate, the silicon SiO2 is being get inserted, the layer of the SiO2, and just beside there is a gate, the drain terminal, the source terminal, and the substrate terminal. This substrate terminal is connected to this channel, which is internally connected to this source. Okay, and that's why here it is marked as a like this. In the N channel, you have NPN like this, with the drain, source, and the substrate, and the gate. In between this one, the one small layer has been inserted. That layer is nothing but it is a SiO2 layer. It gives you the construction. Then if it is a enhancement type, okay, this enhancement type is nothing but it is a normally as a switch. It acts normally as a switch, as that of a transistor. Okay, same widely used in the microprocessor for the computer memories. It is one of the most important thing in a computer, and where the memory part has been occurred. This enhancement type metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor come into the action. So here also only the thing, here some gap has been drawn to you. Okay, this circle, the substrate, this substrate, the source, drain, gate, and the gate. There is no changes, only the line has been cut out. Okay, it gives you this one, the enhancement type. This isn't the N channel between the source and the drain, where the VGS is equal to 0, the current between the source and the drain is always 0. Since this type is called as a normally off metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. In this, the VGS is equal to 0, the current between the source and the drain is 0. Since this type, it is considered as a normally off metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. It is considered as a normally off. Okay, here the gate and the substrate are like two plates of a capacitor separated by the dielectric of SiO2. Okay, where the silicon dioxide is to be get considered, it is separated by a dielectric constant of the silicon. When the gate is positive, it attracts the free electrons and the source and forms a layer, that is a thin layer of N-type material next to the SiO2. This layer of free electrons is called as a N-type inversion layer. Clear? The maximum gate to the source voltage that produces the N-type inversion layer is called as a threshold voltage. Generally in the examination, the threshold voltage definition is going to be asked. The minimum gate to the source voltage that produces the N-type inversion layer is called as a threshold voltage VGS, that is a TH. When VGS is less than VGS, the zero constant current source from the source to the drain, when VGS is greater than we get the current. Okay, this VGS, it is greater. At that time we are getting the current, but if VGS is less, at that time the zero current flows from the source to drain. Okay, then here we have the application for the field effect transistor. It is used in a buffer. Second, it is in a RF amplifier. Third, mixer, voltage variable resistor, low frequency amplifier, oscillator, metal oxide semiconductor, digital circuit. These are all the applications of the field effect transistor. And if we are going to compare the JFET and the metal oxide semiconductor, the input resistance is comparatively less, that is 10 to 8 ohms, The MOSFET, it is 10 to the power 10 to the 10 to the power 15. It is high. The output characteristics which flatter to that of the metal oxide semiconductor, and the drain in a metal oxide semiconductor, the drain output is not flat. Okay. JFET operates only in the depletion mode. In the metal oxide, the depletion type MOSFET can operate in both the depletion mode and the enhancement mode. Okay, it is a difference. Then the conductivity of the channel controls by the transverse electric field across the reverse bias and the PN junction. Now, in the metal oxide semiconductor, the conductivity of the channel, the conductivity of that particular channel, it is used by this one with the SiO2 and the layers across that particular SiO2 layer. Okay. The next part, that is a unijunction transistor. The unijunction transistor, again it is a 3 terminal, but there is only one junction. Okay, 3 terminal device but a single junction, only one junction is present. The terminals are emitter, then the base 1 and the base 2. These are the 3 terminals of a unijunction transistor. The base is formed by highly doped N-type bar of a silicon. The two ohmic contact, that is the base 1 and the base 2, that is B1 and B2, are attached at its end. The emitter is of a P-type and is heavily doped. Okay. The resistance between the base 1 and the base 2, when the emitter is open, it is called as a inter-base resistance, that is RBB. RBB, typical, it is having the value from 5 to 10 kilo ohms. Okay, the RBB value is to be get considered when this B1 and B2 will be get combined, means RB1 plus RB2 will be get combined, you will be obtain the RBB. This RB1 is the resistance between the emitter to base 1, RB2 resistance to the emitter to base 2. RB1 and RB2 are the internal resistors. RB1 decreases with the UJT when it is turned on. This is the symbolical representation. It gives you the structure, symbol and the equivalent circuit. The structure for the UJT. Here only one junction has been provided to you. It is the emitter, it is the base 2, it is the base 1, B1 and B2. Wherever the resistance we are going to connect with this one, it is RB2, it is RB1. Okay. The next thing, the diagram which is been shown here, it is the equivalent circuit with a supply voltage. Okay. Here the emitter RB2, RB1, we are giving the voltage, that is a VBB. It gives you the equivalent of the UJT. The voltage which is applied across the RB1, it is given by V1 is equal to RB1 by RB1 plus RB2 into VBB. That is considered as a neta into VBB. Neta is nothing but RB1 by RBB. Okay, the symbol, this symbol, it is considered as a eta. This eta is nothing but it is an intrinsic standoff ratio. Typically, the intrinsic standoff ratio, it is 0.5 to 0.8. In a UJT, whatever the number of that UJT, it is this one, UJT 2N2646, and the intrinsic standoff ratio for this UJT, it is 0.65. Okay, here it is 0.65. The diode is the equivalent circuit, which is always it is in a forward bias. When the I is equal to VP, VP is nothing but it is a peak value to the emitter voltage, and UJT is turned on. V1 plus VD, you are getting the value, that is neta into VBB plus 0.7. If it is a silicon, then 0.7 to be get considered, and if it is a silicon germanium, it is considered as a 0.3. Neta into VBB plus 0.3. Eta VBB plus 0.3. Okay. The characteristics of this UJT is being shown like this. Here you are considering the characteristics. In this characteristics, the value I versus this one cutoff region, that is a V you are getting. So when you are considering these characteristics, you have the graph plotted versus VE and IE at a constant value of VBB. Here the constant value of the VBB is going to be get considered. The emitter voltage is slowly increases. Here I, V and the constant value for the VBB. The value is slowly get increases. As soon as it get increase, as soon as it get increases, you will form the value. The emitter value will slowly increases. The V is less. V is less than the eta VBB. That is a emitter base. That is a emitter junction. It is a reverse bias. Therefore, a very small reverse current is obtained. And due to that particular small current, the emitter and the base one junction is forward biased, and the emitter current is start get flowing. Okay, the emitter current starts flowing at that particular point. That point is nothing but is called as a peak point, where the current is going to be get flow. It is the peak point. If we are going to consider the peak point, it is eta VBB plus VD. Eta is the intrinsic standoff ratio, VD is the forward voltage drop across the junction, and since VD you are obtaining, that is 0.7 volt. When the conductivity between the emitter and the base is occurred, it increases the V and the V will be get decreases. Due to increases in the forward bias, that is I will be get increase. Okay. The point value, the point V, this V at which the I increases, V is minimum, it is called as a valley point. Okay, it is the valley point. The point which is here present, it is nothing but it is a peak point. The point which is just below, it is nothing but it is a valley point. Okay. The consideration of this particular line with a negative resistance, and it is considered as a saturation region. It gives you the characteristics for the UJT. Okay. After this one, certain problems are there. These problems we have to solve.